Hi, Joe Cerrone.
Al Rosen.
Welcome to CAD 116 in our weekly Zoom classroom meeting. We have Module 7 in the main splash page, but we're focusing on Module 6. We've had a few students who've been asking for more work, and so we released 7 early, but it's not due yet. And so if you see it on the splash page, you're welcome to go ahead and work on it, and we'll cover that next week. This week, we're going to cover Module 6. Al, do you want to talk about it?
Yes, we have the book open, ready to go. It's chapter 12 of our book. Remember, you have online service for it. So when you click on it, it's going to ask you to log in. Joe is already logged in. So it automatically goes to where it's supposed to be. And you can see it, you can zoom into it a little bit more, or zoom out, depending on what you want to do. You can also print it and see what's going on. So we're going to put patterns and objects of it to it. It has move, rotate, copy, mirror, reverse, all nice little things inside there that we want to look at. And that's our object, learning objectives. And then it drops right down as moving objects, and it has a little call out so you can see what it looks like.
Right. So as we start to look at where we're at in the textbook, we're at basic modify commands. And so we start off with draw commands. And so we went through line, circle, arc. We're talking about modify commands. And so when we look at modify commands in AutoCAD, they're very straightforward. And so here's our assignment that we're going to work on. And when we work on that assignment, if I wanted to move something like the kitchen sink here or the bathroom sink, what I would do is I would select move. And then you have to read your command prompt. And so down here at the bottom, it says select objects, or if you have dynamic input on, the cursor, the words follow the cursor. And so this is really the way everybody does it now. And so it says select object. So it starts off in select mode. We select and then we hit enter to end the selection. And then we say we want to move it from here to here. So it's a 3-step process. You select the objects, then you select the base point, then you select the destination point. And most of your modify commands are like that. And so if we look at some of the other stuff here, moving different geometry using object snaps is preferred. So CAD is so accurate that you could kind of make it look like you're moving it from the center. But what they're saying is use O snaps. And so when we look at something like this, it has some circular geometry, and I wanted to copy this circle. I'd hit enter, and then it asked me for the base point. If I have my object snaps active and I have it set for center, then that's preferred because I can glide over until it acquires the center point. And that's like a good area to use for displacement of the geometry. So more tips and tricks. Rotate, again, a modify command where we select the object, give it a base point, and then you can either just move the mouse or you can type in the rotation angle. Again, a 3-step process. More rotates. And you have to remember, AutoCAD started off as a very mechanical, precision kind of a software, and it kind of grew into more of a general design software. So it does everything, which is what we like about it. You can be working at Trader Joe's making the signs. You could be working for a manufacturing company or an art company. A lot of people use AutoCAD. So we're just going through basics. And so as we look at these different commands, source point, destination point, and this looks kind of like the align command. And I don't know if they're actually explaining it really good there, but that's what it looks like to me. Copying, we went through and showed that with the sync. And then you get into smarter functions like the array command or the mirror command. And so when we array and when we mirror different objects, what we're doing is we're kind of automating things. And so if I want to use a polar array, I can select the object to array, hit enter, give it the base point. And I'm not going to put it on the part because it would just go on top of it. So I'm going to come out here and I'll turn on, I guess I can't quite track it. I wanted to O track out and I can't quite track out. And so if I go here and see if my tracking is on, this is a little nicer. And so I can acquire and then go like that. And then you can adjust things with the number of items, and it'll divide it by 360. So if we say 360 divided by 12, it'll then create a circle every 30 degrees. And that's why we take CAD, because it automates it. And then I could do something like put a number on it. And so if I come in here and I want to make a clock, I would use single line text because it's more accurate. It's good for making signs. And so I could say, give me the start point. And what I would do to make it super accurate is I'd say justify, and then I'd say middle center, and then I'd choose the middle center, and then I'd set up the height. I guess 1/4 of an inch is okay, and the rotation angle, and I'll say 12. And then I'll rotate those again with the array command. And so I'll come back here to a polar array. And then let's go before we do that. And let's at least make it a different color so that it pops a little bit. And we can scale that up a little bit. You know, you can scale text so that it will be bigger. And so let's just say 2 times bigger. And then we'll array that. So array. We select it, we hit enter. We have to find the center point of the array, which I had to track. So I'm going to track it again. Bam. And I only have 6, so I have to change this to 12. And then it will go and do that. Now it doesn't know how to go and fix all my numbers, but I don't want it to be associative. And then I can close the array. And then I can just come in here and just change the numbers. Okay, 1 o'clock. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock.
And Joseph, what would happen if we want to turn around so they're all straight across like a regular clock?
Oh, it would be total pandemonia. But that's a great idea, isn't it? Because sometimes the 9 being sideways like that isn't really too cool. So what I could do is I could undo it, or I could just do it again. I'm just going to do it again. So we could have clock version 1, and then we'll have clock version 2. And it's the beauty of CAD. That's why we use it. And so if I have clock version 2, and you have to remember what they call the beginning, the child, sometimes they call it the seed, is the number 12, because that was the first one that I created. And so as we go through and work on these, I want to keep the 12 o'clock one. And then when I array it this time with a polar array, I'll select my item, hit enter. I'll acquire, track, acquire, and track, bam. And here, talk me through it, Al.
Oh,
what do I have to do to make this work? He's going to say rotate items as they're copied needs to be unchecked. And so we uncheck that, and there we go. And so we say okay to that. And then we go back through and do the manual task of putting the numbers in. And when you get down to it, don't think like, hey, this is so boring. Think, I'm getting paid at least $15 an hour to do this. And when you get down to it, wouldn't you rather go and do design work than to go and move boxes or drive Uber? Maybe not all the time, but some of the time I guarantee it. Having a nice thinking person's job requires thinking person tools.
I'm supposed to be 10 right there.
Like I say, thinking person tools. That's why we have Al on board. All right, and so let's go back to our book reading. And so you have these different modify commands. And there's other little accoutrements, as they say, like mirroring text, which you can turn on and off, because sometimes you want a mirrored image of a text. Like when you're driving your car and you look in the rearview mirror and you have an ambulance behind you, you can actually read it because somebody decided to put that so you could read it in the rear view mirror. And that's the person who designed the sign. So being able to turn on and off mirror text is important. And you do that by typing in mirror text and then setting the variable. And when you see 1 or 0, it's binary. It means on or off. And so binary, a 1 means on, binary 0 means off, because AutoCAD is made by computer programmers. And you kind of find that out as you go more into it. Other things, we don't really use the reverse command, right, Al?
No, very little.
We do the rectangular array. Here's a nice multiple suitcases. I don't know why they didn't do desk chairs. And then they have these kind of new ones where they'll go around a path, which is really kind of creative. You know, when you get down to it, you could make a path go up and around like a room and put lights on it, kind of like Christmas lights. But it automates these modify commands. And we've kind of gone through most of these here. So that's our array commands, polar array. And they go through how to modify them. And most of the modifications are just done within the ribbon. So read your ribbon. You'll see things like align to path, like we did with the clock, where we rotated the items as they're copied. So they all have little options to them. Okay, so that's chapter 12. Module 6 then covers this drawing right here. And it is a drawing that you should use the architectural title block on. And this is just, we'll just call it a loft in what are they, it's still called the John Hancock building, right?
Don't remember if they changed it or not. I think they changed it.
I think they changed the Sears Tower to Willis Tower, but I think the John Hancock would be. So think of this as a loft in the John Hancock that costs $2,500 a month plus $500 a month for associations. And it's got this beautiful view of downtown. You can get creative like that with CAD, but the essential is you need to have a floor plan of it. And so we have that as your assignment. Use the B-size architectural paper. The reason we use the templates and the title blocks is because those have the layers set up for you. And I'm not sure, I'm glitching a little bit here. There it goes. All right. And so when you use the title block for architecture, you have the layers set for you, like walls and furniture. And you also have the units. And so if we come up here, I show my menu bar. And then I go to, it didn't show my menu bar.
No, you hit the wrong button. So.
Yeah, that's what happens. Anyway, we'll go to that later. But if I type in units, you'll notice that it's architectural units, which means feet and inches. And so you'll open that title block and then you'll draw in model space. And when you draw a line in model space, it's going to be in feet and inches. And so if I come back here and look at the assignment, somewhere, maybe it's right here, and we'll download that. So if I want a 17-foot line by 18 feet, we can just start off with a box. What I would do is I'd come back here to my title block. I like to use grid and snap, you know, turn on the grid, turn on the snap. And then I'm not sure where how I get my menu bar back, my pull down menu. Here it is. It kind of moved. And this is the biggest problem with AutoCAD, finding where they put the commands. So if I go into my drafting settings, a good snap is 6 inches and a good grid is 12 inches. And we can have the snap and the grid on if we want. We can okay that. Polar tracking should be on. Object snap should be enabled. Object snap tracking should be on. So when I draw a 17-foot line and come over here and get to one of the squares, track it out, type 17 foot, enter. And then I can track that up. I think it was 18 feet. Let's see where that was. 18 feet. And so we can come back here, track that up. And if I have the line weights on, it's easier to read. So we'll say 18 feet. Zoom that down, come back this way, 17 feet, and then C for close. If it bothers you that the grid pattern isn't big enough, then you have to adjust the limits. And so if I go to drawing limits and I say lower left-hand corner, 0, 0, yep. Upper right-hand corner, let's say 30 feet, comma, 30 feet, enter. See, now we get more grid space. And that's how it works. Now, when we worked with the pencil, what would we have to do for that, Al?
T-square, you know, all nice little things, nice pencil, sharpened pencil, mechanical ruler, architectural ruler, depending on which one you want to use.
And we'd have to have paper too.
Oh, yes. Multiple.
So you can adjust the size of the paper and you can do all these different things with the CAD system. And so that's the basics, okay? We can come back here to this drawing. We use a lot of offset commands. And so this wall is 6 inches here. And then all the other walls are 5 inches. So take your time with the blueprints. Take a little time and read the blueprints. Look at what they're dimensioning to. They're dimensioning to the centers of the windows here. And then they tell you what the size of the windows are. Here's a door, it's 2 feet. What do you think of that, Mr. Rosen?
Kind of narrow.
That's right, kind of narrow.
Not as ADA specifications.
That's right. So if I'm a landlord, I'm going to need a bigger door. Otherwise, I'm only going to be able to rent it.
I doubt if that bathroom's ADA compliance either.
That's right. And so that's what we do in some of the other classes as well. We would maybe put some grab bars here and here, and we'd widen the door. We'd make everything ADA compatible. Can you get around this room? Can you get into the closet? Can you hang up your coat? All these little things are why that this field is a good field for people to study. So as we go into these assignments, they have scalability. They may look fairly simple, but that's kind of where we're at with it. And then if we come back here, Alice got everything laid out. Here's our videos. And so if you look at the old video, some of the old ones are really good. Come on. You can see the images. Close caption it. Okay, and so I walk you through. It really comes down to how much time me and Al Rosen have to do the videos. Right now, we're going as fast as we can, but we don't want to go too quickly. And so we show things like how to insert a door from a pallet. And so this is a block, and you can adjust the size of them and things like that. But the videos are really good, and Al is the man as far as being able to organize these. And so here's a newer video.
Same thing, Joe.
Oh, well, maybe nobody would notice. But those things happen. You know, we can always update that. And so that's the assignment. Here's the PDF. And this will just be, whoops. Went somewhere. There it is. And so here's an example. Same thing done on CAD.
That's what the B-size architectural paper set up for.
Right. So with things are the way they are, module 6 is due next week. And then 7, we pushed back a little bit. And so as you look at it, actually module 6 due 11th. If you need more time, just request it.
No problem.
Yeah. And all the content is there for you. And that's our quick review of this week's Zoom assignment. All right. Al, if there's anything else, otherwise I'll end the recording.
No, I think it's a great job you're doing. No problem.
All right. So we're going to end this and open things up for questions.